Hey, I'm Alex Radcliffe from Board Game Co, and we're going to be having a two-back or not-to-back, going through a few campaigns, a few board game adjacent, one not funding, and of course a small update on Zombicide, but a bunch of things to go over today. But first, starting off with our sponsor, WSBG, the Rural Series of Board Gaming. September 24th to September 28th, 2023 in Vegas at the Bally's Casino, previously known as Bally's, now the Horseshoe, whatever it is. But this is going to be both, well, it's going to be a few things. It's going to be a competition where you can possibly win $40,000 or your share of $40,000, because technically you get $25,000, the person who came in second place, they get $15,000, and further down the rabbit hole we go. But effectively, this is a board game competition, or it can be a board game competition, but it doesn't have to be. It can also be a place where you just go to hang out and play board games. They have a variety of different ways you can buy tickets at different price points. They have a variety of different events. The side events can be a Dice Throne Championship tournament. This is all in addition to the regular general mains event where you have 16 games to go through. You're going to have a bunch of passes as far as different ways you can go ahead. Guest passes, outer rings pass, a full-on, 4-ring game pass. By the way, make sure to check out the link down below, because you do get a bit of a $40 off coupon code you can utilize if you are anyways going to this. And keep in mind, this includes the actual, full 5-day stay and all that with hotel stay at this pledge level. So you're already getting a hotel stay in this, plus the event itself, plus entry to the competition, and that's all stuff you could do, or you can just go hang out and play games. There's going to be a ton of things you can do. My personal recommendation is either you're going to be one of two people, one of three people. You're going to either be someone who's coming in with the goal of winning, and you're going to pick your 4 events, and you're going to dive into it. That's one option on the table, in which case, great, go ahead and do that. Or alternatively, you're just there to hang out and have fun, because it is a fun convention, even if you don't enter a single tournament. Utilizing Dice Towers West's extensive library is going to be there, as well as a ton of people, people in the industry, or just your friends. And then past that, alternatively, you can kind of go for the hybrid of the two. Pick one event, pick Cascadia or pick Seven Wonders. Pick something short and sweet that you kind of want to compete in, just for the sake of seeing if you can possibly make it to the end, and then just enjoy the show the rest of the time. This is WSBG. It was an absolute blast last year. I'm going to be going this year. I'm already sad that I'm missing the first 2 days, because I had a lot of fun, and I'm looking forward to diving back in. But that's WSBG, and with that, let's go ahead and dive into our Cult of the Now. Cult of the Now, where we go ahead and take a look at a currently available game, and this is Aquatica. $36 from Game Nerds for this game. Aquatica is one of my favorite games that I really enjoy and have not stopped enjoying since I played it. Now, I do believe it is better with the Cold Water expansions, but even the base game alone, I very much enjoyed, and you can go ahead and get this game now. You can get it on Game Nerds. You don't have to wait. You don't have to check, wonder if the game is or isn't good. There's plenty of crowdfunding games we're going to be looking at today, but if you want something that you can play, well, next week, go ahead and get Aquatica from Game Nerds and give that one a look. And with that, finally, let's dive into the crowdfunding campaigns of the week, starting off with Board Game Adjacent. Specifically starting off with AR Vault Story Dice. Awakened Realms Vault, they have story dice that they put out, $155,000 raised so far, 2,000 backers. These are going to be, well, accessories. This is not a board game, although it does have board game content, because if you have some of Awakened Realms games, they do have various things over here, the various extra content for a variety of the games, for Tainted Grail, for Nemesis, for Etherfields, for a bunch of things, for ISIS Vanguard, a bunch of things over there. But as far as this over here, let's go through it. We have the Story Dice Core Box. These are going to be the core story dice you can utilize and get your hands on. We have the AR Board Game Dice Bundle Box of $45. This is going to give you the stuff that upgrades your core game experience. So if you take a look through this over here, you have specific dice that you can add into the games that come with rules changes, little modifiers to the game rules, so you both have the benefit of beautiful dice, as well as the actual, changes to the gameplay if you're looking for some gameplay content. Or alternatively, you can just get the Story Dice Box over here, which is giving you just regular upgraded dice that are, deluxeified. You can check out, Tim Chun put out a fantastic video, Crackle has a video on this. You can check those out, or you can buy things individually on their own, including things that come in the box, or including things that don't come in the box. These Mist Dice, these Weirdness, the RPG Glass Dice, these sets over here, if you're interested in them, those are all on their own, or you can pick and choose whichever things work for you as far as these various dice sets over here. The Etherfields, Tainted Grail, Nemesis, the Space Cat, the Intruder, the Dice Expansion, a whole bunch of things over here, including a wooden box if you want all of that. Nothing here is cheap, but these are supposedly cheaper now than they'll be later. You can also get these things Sundrop. Again, lots of options. This is Board Game Adjacent. You can check these out. These are the Story Dice and Assorted Dice from Awakened Realms. Their new line of, the AR Vault or whatnot, the new accessory line that they're putting out, that's over on GameFound. From there we have the Gwen Gaming Table by Geek & Son. $800,000 raised, 529 backers. The Gwen Gaming Table is the newest game table from Geek & Son, who've done the Archie, they've done the The other one, I always forget their table names, but the Gwen is their newest table. You can check out the videos in this. You can check out the pledge levels. They can be as low as €500 for a hobby desk, not £500, sorry, for a hobby desk, not for a full game table, or £800 for the actual game table. You do have to also pay extra for shipping. Take that into account before you back anything. Check out the pledge levels. Check what you're getting, the accessories. There's lots of ways to get things over here. You can check, yeah, lots of stuff on this campaign. And one thing I love, by the way, is they have this over here. They have literally, if you prefer to talk instead of reading, if you have any questions, they literally have a number and a person. Hey, Michael's here to help you out. He's here to answer questions, which I thought was wonderful. Like, if you're in any way on the fence about anything here, give this number a ring. It's obviously international, depending on where you are, but give the number a ring, check it out, and you could... It's just simpler. If you're on this page and you have any questions about anything, you can actually straight up ask and you'll get the answers you need, which I thought was great. A very nice special touch over there. And then again, lots of content to check out as far as various, content creators covering this, and then various things being unlocked over here. Things you can get cheaper now if you get it on the crowdfunding campaign, as opposed to if you get it later. From there we have the Secrets of the Greenworld RPG campaign book and adventure bundle. We're still not even up to the campaigns of the week. This is all board game adjacent, but $91,000 raised, 568 backers. And this is basically coming from Dungeon in a Box, who've done the Skinny Minis campaigns over on Kickstarter, and they're doing a D&D RPG campaign over here, yes, with Skinny Minis as well. You get the hardcover campaign book, you can get the Mysteria over here, you can get the complete adventure bundle, you can get miniatures, you can get not miniatures, a bunch of things. The grayed out stuff are the early bird pledges that are no longer available. But yeah, a lot of content over here on the campaign page, including the complete bundle, storage binders, the Skinny Minis collections, a lot of things you can get. Again, not heavily going into this board game adjacent over here. I don't tend to go as deep a dive into these, but if you're looking forward to see some RPG content from the people who've done Skinny Minis, or a way to use your Skinny Minis in a system, this is what will have you covered there. And with that, let's go ahead and dive into the first campaign of the week. This is in the not yet funding category. Someone, by the way, suggested, which I thought was great. I thought was very on point. I usually call it the canceled and not funding category when I do it at my little timestamps down below. But somebody pointed out, why are you calling it not funding when it might be not yet funding? And I was like, that's fair. It's the not yet funding category. That is an accurate distinction. So it's now the canceled and not yet funding category. And today we just have one, and that's going to be Kingdoms of Akandia, the Seven Realms. $40,000 raised of a $68,000 goal, 244 backers. This is a tough one. Usually a campaign with those numbers, I'd say, is probably going to make its way over the finish line. This one's a little trickier only because it's already a relaunch campaign, so it's already hitting all those previous backers, and it's doing so right off the bat day one, which means I'm not as certain which way this will go. It may fund, and if it does fund, it'll creep over the finish line, but it also just easily may not fund. It's a little too close to call right now. This one is one of those games that has a lot of content creators who've said a lot of good things. I haven't played this one personally, and as somebody who hasn't played it, I can definitely say visually it doesn't pull me in. This might be the best game ever, but it doesn't, visually it's not capturing my attention in the way some games do, and that doesn't mean it's not a good game. I have played many games, especially when I'm covering prototypes, I've played many games that really were absolutely incredible, but they didn't pull me in, and sometimes so they didn't pull people in visually, and sometimes those campaigns didn't fund or didn't do that well, even though I know from having played it, it's a great game. Ultimately, we buy with our eyes, and they have some great acrylic standees over here, but the full package to me, as someone who hasn't played it, is like, okay, great, maybe it's great, maybe not, but it's not pulling me in, and I think that's probably the reason it's not getting over that hump. Again, $40,000 raised is not a small amount, but you see many campaigns do over 100 easily, and this one's definitely struggling in that department. But this is the Seven Realms, the core game, kind of RPG-ish adventure, not a dungeon crawler, but lots of progressive, lots of leveling up, lots of, getting your builds together, all that stuff, and then, top quality, E-Star, but just things they have on the page as far as manufacturing. But yeah, the Kingdoms of Akandia, Seven Realms, I'm curious to see what will happen with this one, but not there yet. And from there we go to board game updates. We just have Zombicide White Death. I'm only going to spend 2 minutes on this one because this is one that I did a full Should You Back It yesterday. You can check that out if you're looking for a nice 20-minute long video on Should You Back White Death, covering all the various updates and well, not all the updates, because I guarantee you, come on, put out updates after my video. It's just the way they do it. They have it all in pledge by now. They have the last optional buy. They have all that stuff revealed. But otherwise, it's $13,000, $2.2 million raised, 3 days to go. This will absolutely hold its value. That's not the question. The only question is, do you want it? Do you need it? Are you going to get it? Are you going to reluctantly get it? Are you going to reluctantly pass on it? I'm curious which camp you fall into. I'm reluctantly getting it, which is not the best way to go ahead and spend $200 on a board game, but in this case, come on. If it's not a game that works for me, I'll happily get rid of it, and if it is a game that works for me, I'll happily keep it. I'm not too worried either way, although there is only so much Zombicide one man needs. Don't get me wrong, I just went ahead and did some major purges in my collection, so I have the room. I've just cleared like 4 or 5 Calyx copies of other games, large campaign games, which that basically just means more room for Zombicide. Even if I don't need or want it, but it is what it is. We're going to get our hands on Zombicide White Death. Past that, if you want a full breakdown on the various optional buys, on the stretch goals, all of that stuff, check out my Should You Back It from yesterday's video. I went into it in a lot more detail. I didn't go like stretch goal by stretch goal. Nobody has time for that. But I went into most of the optional buys and some general stretch goals and exclusives and things like that on the campaign page. Lots of content here. Ultimately, it's a question of, you know, who's getting it, who's not, and that is, come on, Zombicide White Death. Which brings us to the new campaigns. New campaigns, we have a bunch over here, starting off with Paperback 10th Anniversary plus Typewriter. 1,400 backers, $107,000 raised, 11 days to go. This is both a new combined 10th Anniversary edition of Paperback with upgraded stuff, with an improved, with a new solo mode, with new content, new everything for the game, as well as the deluxe version of it, as well as Typewriter, which is basically like Paperback meets Bananagrams in its own little game. You can get both of those, either of those, or neither of those on this campaign. To get neither of those, all you have to do is just not click back this project. If you want those, you have to click back this project. But over there, we have Typewriter over here, $29 to give you, again, a kind of Bananagrams meets Paperback. You have the word spelling of Paperback with a more of a tile-based system and some rules in that system, in the game. They cover more as far as the how to play later down the page. And then we have Paperback, the 10th Anniversary Edition, or alternatively, the Deluxe 10th Anniversary Edition, or combine both for $92 to get Typewriter and the Deluxe Paperback. You can get a bunch of different ways or combinations on this page. But over here, we have new novel covers, new starting decks, new unique tech trees, a solo mode, a bunch of new things for Paperback. It's a 10-year-old game. I personally have been playing Paperback Adventures and really been enjoying that one. Paperback for me didn't work as well, although they do say there's a solo mode, so I'm intrigued, like, do I want the solo mode of Paperback, or do I just want to play Paperback Adventures? I don't really know. I like Paperback Adventures a lot, though, so I'm going to stick with that for right now, because Paperback is one that I very much liked, but for me, competitively, I just found there's too much time staring at your hands trying to optimize around it. But those are the two games we have over here, Paperback and Typewriter. 94 durable acrylic keys for this game. Looks like a fun little war game. And then we have the Anniversary Edition with a full copy paperback in a double-sized box, including, over here we have the double-sided playmats, the dual-layer genre tiles, the foil fame cards, and the custom metal tokens, and the card sleeves, all for $68. So, and then featuring art from a variety of well-known artists in the game. You know, lots of that. Like this one over in particular, this is from the artist of Welcome To, and it kind of brings me like Welcome to the Moon vibes on it. So overall, that's what we have over there. And I love how they're doing this, by the way. They're doing this kind of unlock as far as artists, the name, who is this known for this, known for that. What is this known for? Known for, what art starts with M-I? A-M-I? I don't know. I don't know well enough on this one, so I'm just not going to spend too much time on this one. But either way, that's what we have over here. And then they're also going to be possibly making the Paperback Volume 2 will be made free in the App Store once they hit $200,000. Although currently, based on where they are, I'm not confident they will or won't, which brings us to the should you back it, should you not. Generally, if you're looking for, especially if you're looking for the deluxe version of this game, then go ahead and get this one on crowdfunding. It's the best place to get it. If you're looking for the retail edition, it's kind of take it or leave it. You can get the game now on crowdfunding, but you'll also be able to get your hands on it later. You'll be paying shipping for it now. You'll be paying shipping for it later, unless you're able to get it from Miniature Market or like some online store or whatnot. So if you're looking for the retail, I kind of would probably just recommend waiting for retail. If you're looking for the deluxe, the crowdfunding campaign is likely the best way to get your hands on it. That is going to be Paperback 10th Anniversary Edition plus Typewriter. From there we have Weirdwood Manor, 2,341 backers, $177,000 raised, 18 days to go. This is bringing you a cooperative game with a variety of scenarios and a variety of, not really scenarios so much as bosses, a variety of bosses to fight against as you combine powers and abilities in this labyrinth-style game as you move your way from the outer circle into the inner circle to slowly take down the threat of the scarabs while managing and utilizing your powers and abilities, activating room abilities, taking things down, all in all in this cooperative, ability-based, asymmetric, and scenario boss fighting adventure. That's basically what's going on in this game. You're going to be moving around from room to room in this rotating board. You're going to have a time clock that rotates, and as the time clock rotates, it also changes what rooms have access to what rooms as you try to wander around the manor, activating the rooms and taking out the baddies, both the bosses and the scarabs in the game. You're going to have your abilities, you're going to be powering up, you're going to be trying to figure out how to manage all that in this cooperative experience. That's basically what's going on there, and we have two main pledge levels. We have $60 for the standard edition of the game, and then we have $85 for the deluxe edition, which gives you deluxe upgraded resources as well as acrylic standees. If we scroll down over here, we can see the various pledge levels over here. There we go. So we have the regular version of the game, $20 off MSRP, $60 for the game, and then we have $85 for the deluxe edition, which again again, gives you acrylic standees and these upgrades. And by the way, the upgrades, having played this game, the upgrades are very nice. You can check out my full coverage of the game over on my channel for a review of the game. But overall, this is Weirdwood Manor. As far as should you back it, should you not, the deluxe version of the game, this is one where there's definitely enough appeal for the game. There's definitely a lot of people who have, like, you know, what do we have over here? We have 2,300 backers. It's a lot of general appeal. If you are interested in the game, I'd probably recommend the deluxe edition pledge. They said that the standard edition over here, they don't have specific plans to go to retail. There will be people who back the retail edition, but past that, they don't really know what the down the road pledges or options will be. I think the game has done well enough, though, that we probably could expect to see a retail copy, although the whole $20 off MSRP, by the time you factor in the fact that you're paying shipping on this campaign, you're likely looking at getting it cheaper at retail if it does get picked up in retail. It's always the downside of crowdfunding, where once you factor in the MSRP and once you factor in, you know, the retail options, usually retail is cheaper unless they give you a significant savings, which is often tricky to do. Obviously, take into account your local region. That's always a factor. Availability where you are is a huge factor here. But over there, if you want the more of a reason to get on crowdfunding over here, the deluxe version of the game is going to come with more stuff. They unlock stretch goals, all those things over here, the deluxeified extras in the campaign, and they are giving the quest mini expansion to both pledge levels as well. That is a reason to consider crowdfunding, although again, even at the standard edition, I still think waiting for retail is probably better. The deluxe edition is going to be the more of a compelling reason to get your hands on this game over on crowdfunding. As far as will it hold its value, will it not? Again, I think the deluxe edition is going to be the cheapest place to get your hands on this one. I'm not as confident it holds value. You're looking at a $100 game once you factor in the cost of the game plus shipping, so you're looking at a $100 game if you get your hands in it over the crowdfunding campaign, and it's a lot to ask somebody to go ahead and pick this up later at $100. I am less confident this will hold its value, but for the deluxe edition, it's the best place to get your hands on it. From there, we move on to Forges of Ravenshire. 392 backers, $31,000 raised. This is a very solid game that I think is being hurt by the price point. Forges of Ravenshire by BA Games is a fun little dice crafting game. Not really dice crafting, but you're using dice placement game as you craft various weapons in a forge and as you build up your tableau. This is a very rewarding experience that was a lot of fun to play through. I had a lot of, again, you can check out my preview coverage, my review coverage of the game. You can check that out. Overall, I very much enjoyed this game, but I think the price point is a factor here. We have $60 for the base game, similar to, you know, Weirdwood Manor and all that, but then we have $99 for the Journeyman plus game plus resource upgrades over here if you want, like the metal coins and the Forge of Ravenshire, the wooden resources, all of that. And it's just a hard, and we have $225 for the all-in pledge if you want the wooden box, wooden resources. I think the price point, and then also, let's go scroll down even further, you know, the shipping on the game itself is going to run you $18, $20 in the US just for the most basic pledge over there, which means you're really looking at $80 for this game, and it's comparable to a, you know, standard retail edition of the game. I think the game is good, but I think people looking at this as a $80 game before you even get to the deluxe edition is just a hard price point to ask. And in general, this between Weirdwood Manor, between Forge of Ravenshire, and some more to go, this is definitely falls into the category of there's lots of supporting small publishers kind of situation here where you can choose between, again, going back to my Cult of the Now, we have Aquatica for $35 with free shipping once you get $75 worth, or you can get Forge of Ravenshire, which will run you $80 for the game. It's always hard. It's hard to compete sometimes with what's out there in retail unless you have really solid pricing or just something over the top that you don't typically find in retail. And I think Forges of Ravenshire is not seeing as much funding as I'd like to see it have, probably because of that. That's my own guess over here, but I think the game is a lot of fun. You can check out the coverage of the game from a variety of content creators, but 32,391 backers, I think it's just not seeing the same level I think it's not seeing the same level of success I'd like to see, probably because of the price point. Speaking of which, as far as should you back it, should you not, I have a hard time recommending this one as far as I think it's a fun game. But there's so many incredible games I'd recommend that don't run $80 to get something that is effectively a retail version of a game. It's like not a retail version, that might sound too dismissive, but there's many things I could recommend for half the price point that would be incredible and easy to get your hands on. That the Forge of Ravenshire $80 before you get into the deluxeifications is just a very hard ask. Moving on, we have Teotihuacan City of Gods Deluxe Master Set, 2,700 backers, $370,000. This is also a lot of money for a lot of upgrades over here. There's definitely a week of spending a lot of money on a lot of things, although this one is a top 100 game. It's like number 80 on Board Game Geek or somewhere along those lines, and the Board and Dice is giving it a deluxe over-the-top finish in terms of just everything. In terms of absolutely everything, we have a, you know, completely new artwork, components fully upgraded, 5th layer expansion, all in one box, tailor-made tray, although keep in mind 5th layer expansion is earlier than anyone else. This will be available in retail. It's just your first chance to get your hands on it. We have a lot of things, upgraded, deluxeified bags and boxes and components and all that for €120 for everything over here. MSRP of 162, which that, by the way, is is a good discount, all considered, compared to retail, if that actually holds up to the retail pricing. Although, of course, they'll be paying for shipping as well. But yeah, we have over here a bunch of options over here. We have the box of holding, just €18 for the box. If you just need the box, it's all you want, it's all you care about. We have €29 for the various playmats. There's going to be a ton of things you can get on this campaign. We have €29 for a set of players game mats. We have €69 for the beauty pack. This is going to give you all the upgrades, luxifications, and the box. And then we have €119 for the Deluxe Master Set, and the €179 for the all-in, if you absolutely need everything, playmats and deluxifications and all that stuff. As far as should you back it, should you not, will it hold its value? Some of the stuff, this really depends a lot on the price points and the end availability. I think it will mostly hold its value, but the stuff is not necessarily exclusive to Kickstarter, at least not from what I can see over here. It's just a easier place to get your hands on everything, on deluxifications, on the promos, on the add-ons, the 5th player expansion, the playmats. So this is likely going to be the easiest way to get your hands on the absolute deluxification of everything, although I don't think you're necessarily saving a ton of money. You are saving something, it looks like, when you factor in the price of the game, you factor in the MSRP of the game, and you factor in the price of shipping. It does look like you're saving something, but you're not necessarily saving a ton. Similar to the Terraforming Mars big box, this is the kind of thing where you can get your hands on it now, or you can just wait and get your hands on it down the road. You might have to pay a drop more down the road, but nothing crazy. So if you're on the fence, I'd recommend passing on it. But if you're not on the fence, if you know you want this, then yes, getting on the crowdfunding campaign is probably the best way to go. And then also initially, once it does land initially, it's the kind of thing that it definitely will hold its value initially until it actually shows up in retail and has regular availability for the game. But yeah, this is basically an upgrade for the game. If you've passed on Teotihuacan all these years, I don't think now is the time where you have to go ahead and get your hands on it. If you've waited this long, you can continue waiting. Although that said, I will be trying to finally play my copy of the game. If I can play it and get some review coverage up before these 19 days to go by, that would be excellent. Also, don't count on it. I have a busy few weeks ahead of me and I make no guarantees. But we'll see what we can do. But yeah, as far as should you back it, should you not, I think if you haven't gotten Teotihuacan yet, you should probably not be getting it now. And if you have loved Teotihuacan and you know you want this stuff, then by all means, go ahead and get the upgrades for a game system you know you love. And then we move to To Glory. To Glory. Uncover buried treasures and engage in exciting naval battles to go down in history as the most glorious pirates in the high seas. 486 backers, $31,000 raised. This is coming to you from Vesuvius Media, who did Catapult Kingdoms. And they're leaning heavily into that with To Glory, a game of basically wandering your ships around the board as you literally flick various cubes into each other, trying to unseat your pirates and defeat the Kraken and all that stuff. So it leans a bit into the exploration, the pirates, and it leads into the general notes of, you know, a piratey adventure, combined with the tactile fun and games that brought Catapult Kingdoms to people's tables. So looks like a fun little game as far as leaning more into the dexterity / fun and games as opposed to the hardcore Euro system. That's going to be To Glory over here, and we have $45 for the standard edition and $70 for the deluxe edition, which is going to give you chests and metal coins as well. 10 metal treasure chests and 50 metal coins for an additional $25 for the game. You have to decide if you want that or care about that, or you just want the regular version that's cheap and easy and accessible. Speaking of which, though, you can also get that at retail down the road if you're willing to wait on that one. So overall, I think the only real reason to get this one over here is if you want those deluxe metal upgrades. And speaking of myself, they're not pulling me in as much as sometimes things do. Like, these look fine, but you can get metal coins. You can get some solid metal piratey coins. Top Shelf Gamer generally has some incredible coins that I highly recommend, including pirate themes ones. They are a channel sponsor when I do my once a month luxification videos, but they do some really solid stuff as far as, well, metal coins and things. And then past that, we have, yeah, it depends on if you care about the metal chests and coins. The chests are okay. They're not to my personal taste, but yeah, up to you. If you're waiting for the standard edition, though, I would say wait till retail and get your hands on it there. Moving on, we have Berserkers by Alone Editions, a solo card and dice game. 917 backers, $54,000, 23 days to go. It's your job to light the beacons. Let's take down, you have to like light 8 beacons or whatever. Where's the game thingy? You're going to be moving around the game, rolling action dice assigned to various areas as you try to move around and take the very special actions and locations you visit, all while trying to basically, you have to be, here we go, Shadow Riders, 3 Berserkers without virtues. Where's the thingy? You seal the fate. There's a whole thing about you trying to light the, here we go, light the 8 protective fires of Odin and mark the 3 Shadow Riders with the Sacred Seal. This is coming to you from Alone Editions. This is his 10th campaign, and he in general puts out a ton of solo games, although worth noting he does specifically talk about it on this campaign page, how it works great as a cooperative game as long as you're willing to share the decision making, basically solo, just co-oping solo, which I've done in the past and works really well. So if it works great here, I totally would on that. But this is basically another solo puzzle by Alone Editions. Alone Editions. He puts out a ton of fairly well rated solo puzzles that are well liked. Doesn't have a ton of availability access over here. We have €38 for the game for Berserkers, and then €83 for the Berserkers plus Black Hole. Although it looks like that's all gone. Although I was going to warn you that it's only available in French for Black Hole, so you don't necessarily have to worry about that because you can't get that anyway. As far as should you back it, should you not, will it hold its value? Generally, his campaigns, his games are hard to get your hands on, so it's more with the lack of availability than anything else. Although as far as holding its value, they're also expensive as far as card games go. €38 for a fairly small box card game is not the cheapest, and they generally have not done the best at holding the value, but they are well rated and hard to get your hands on, so there's always that double-edged sword aspect of, you know, whether you get it on crowdfunding or not, but that is Berserkers. Moving on, we have Pioneer Rails, a network building flip and write games. Flip and write game, not games. This is coming to you from Dronda Games, designed by Matthew Dunstan and Jeffrey Allers, a flip and write game set in the Old West. I have review coverage on this one, you can check it out. Overall, I very much enjoyed this game. Every single round, you're basically playing poker hands, you're going to be drawing different cards, and you're going to have the leader selecting a card, then from the remaining cards, the other players can select cards, and you're going to be using those to wander around the board, both to build a poker hand, which will score you points, but also to wander around the board and segment off different areas and to visit different locations, and make sure your rails are properly moving from one area to the next while you're trying to be mindful of the 4 or 5 different areas and things you're trying to do in the game. And then past that, there's also 3 different maps. There's like a second map in the Essential Edition, so we have the print and play, we have the resale store backers, we have the base game for $24, and we have Essential Edition for $30, which gives you a full second map sheet, but then also the stretch goals have unlocked a third map sheet, and there's going to give you 3 different maps. I hope there's a 4th, I hope there's a 5th, I want more maps for this game, but you basically have different maps, each giving you small adjustments to the gameplay, so it's not just like a new map with the exact same rules, it's a new map with small modified rules and adjustments, giving you more things to think of and consider as you go through it. Basically, across the course of play, I think 20 cards, you're playing 20 different cards, you're going to be moving your rails around the board and trying to unlock different things and cascading one thing into the next as you figure out how to, well, score as efficiently as possible. And this game gives you so much to explore in the gameplay puzzle that you'll never get everything you need done, and it's up to you to try to figure out what the right combination of things are going to give you the points. The Essential Edition over here is going to be $30, and then from there we have $45 if you also want the playmat, which I cannot possibly recommend the playmat. The playmat basically is a giant playmat. Again, I think the game's great, but that's a giant playmat that's going to give you just a little bit of just niceness on the table. It's a roll and write. It's a flip and write game. It's a flip and write, not a roll and write. It's a flip and write game. The playmat just is a hosting area for your cards. It's obnoxiously large for something that I think doesn't add that much value and just takes up a lot of space. The game is great. The playmat, I think, is completely unnecessary. Again, feel free to check out my review coverage. You'll see the playmat. You'll see kind of what table presence it has. But past that, the game looks great. The card art looks great. The game plays well. It's overall a lot of fun. As far as should you back or should you not, will it hold its value? Generally, this is just a cheaper... This is a game that I think that... Okay. The game itself is, if you want to get your hands on it, is cheap enough to get your hands on it, and overall will give you everything you need off the bat, as opposed to waiting to have to wait to retail and possibly hunting extra things down. I'm not necessarily confident it'll hold this value, but if you do want the game, I think it is cheap enough and gives you enough extras that it's certainly not that big a deal to pay the extra amount for it, and I do like and recommend the game and would want you to have all the extra maps. I think you'll be able to get your hands on it down the road, but it just, you know, you're not spending that much more and you are hunting things down. So if you're looking for the cheapest price point, definitely wait to retail, still the same conversation there, but if you do want to get your hands on everything and don't want to spend that much time hunting it down, I don't think it'll hold this value, but this is likely the best place to get your hands in it. That's going to be Pioneer Rails, a network building flip and write game. We have Fighters of Europe. Fighters of Europe, 718 backers, $79,000 raised. This is Fighters of Europe coming to you from Capsicum Games, and this is the follow-up to Fighters of Pacific, which has done incredibly well. Fighters of Pacific has like an 8.1 on Board Game Geek or something like that. The game is fairly well rated, and this is just the spiritual successor, the follow-up from there. Overall, just this is a very simple air first skirmish game that's meant to be highly accessible as far as the rules, making it so it's not like a giant, 40-page rule book of all these things you have to read and understand and analyze. By the way, where is it? This campaign. A on Board Game Geek. I want to meet this guy. This is one of the very, very few games that I'm happy enough to play as written with nary a house rule. It's perfect for what it wants to do. I don't know what you're doing, AA, but if you're playing nearly all of your games with house rules, I am very curious as far as how you play games. I play thousands and thousands of games, and I put house rules in a handful of them. Most of the time I play them as written. I don't have time to figure out how a game should be played, and to Either way, moving on from there, Fighters of Europe, this is going to be an airfare combat game. Highly recommend watching the video if you want a quick summary of how the game plays and want to get a feel for the gameplay. But it's tactical skirmish aerial combat in a way that is both tactically rewarding and strategic, as well as accessible and engaging all at the same time. And again, this is from, if you want to check out more on this, make sure to check out Fighters of Pacific, which is their last game in the series. This one doesn't really exist yet, versus Fighters of Pacific has already landed in backers' hands, and people seem to be enjoying that one very much. As far as the pledge levels, we have 50 €45, $50 for the battle pledge, and then $89 for the campaign pledge if you want all that stuff over there. And then of course we have other, we have the retailer pledge, and the early bird pledges are gone over there. As far as should you back it, should you not, will it hold its value? I'm skeptical it will hold its value, but it does look like it's the cheapest, easiest way to get your hands on this one, at least for right now. So similar to a lot of things we've been saying today, there's very few amazing value pledges today, which we'll talk about, I guess, soon enough in the picks of the week. But yeah, if you're looking for the cheapest and easiest way to get your hands on it, if you're looking for the cheapest way, then I'd wait for retail. If you're looking for the easiest way and to guarantee your copy now, sure, crowdfunding, although I'm skeptical it'll hold its value overall. Despite being well rated and well liked, I'm skeptical it'll get your money back if it's not a game for you. Moving on to lastly, we have Threads of Fate, a Puzzletale, the Tale of Ord remastered, and yes, the fact that I'm including in board games and not board game adjacent does mean I will once again get flack for, I don't even remember what it's called. Oh my gosh, Maladum. Dungeons of Maladum or whatever it was. But either way. Anyways, Threads of Fate, a Puzzletale. Coming to you from Post Curious Games. They've previously done the Emerald Flame as well as a bunch of other escape room kind of style games. And Emerald Flame is amazing, by the way. The reason this is here and primarily, and the reason I'm talking about it is because Emerald Flame is incredible. And if this is anything like Emerald Flame, then this is something you should be paying attention to. This is a not cheap escape room game. It's going to run you, what is it for the game? It's going to run you $86 to get your hands on this escape room game, but at the same time, this $86 is going to give you 4 different envelopes, each envelope taking around 2 to 3 hours to solve, giving you around 10 to 12 hours of gameplay content, which means if you compare it to an unlock game, which gives you an hour of content for like $15, this is a relatively good price, if not a good price, comparatively speaking to other escape room systems. I haven't played this one, but I have played Emerald Flame, and Emerald Flame, that 2 to 3 hours per envelope is accurate, and they are incredibly well done puzzles. Now, I will say, looking at this visually, I'm not as pulled in by it. I don't find myself as pulled in by this as I find myself pulled in by an unlock game, but that was also true for Emerald Flame for me until I actually sat down and played it. So I'm kind of just excited about this one primarily based on Emerald Flame and not based on anything else. But either way, this is an escape room puzzle experience that is kind of a reprint deluxification of one of their earlier game systems. I'm definitely looking forward to this one, but yeah, that's what, and I think they have plans to unlock reset packs as well throughout the course of the campaign, and they have puzzles and everything else and all of that as well as you go through it. But that is basically the Threads of Fate. It's going to run you $86 plus $10 shipping and or whatever shipping location you have, and that is everything there, which brings us to the picks of the week. Picks of the week. We have a few things going on over here. As far as picks of the week, we have my personal interest pick of the week, and then we have the value pick of the week. The value pick of the week is the thing that I think is the best back. If you want to get your hands on it, this is the thing you should definitely back the most compared to getting it at retail. And I don't count, updates. Zombicide White Death would count for pick of the week, but this is an update, so I'm not counting that. I will pick Teotihuacan, although I will say this is not like a, oh my gosh, you absolutely must back a pick of the week. I think nearly everything we've covered today, you can comfortably wait for retail, and you will not be losing that much, if anything. You might have to hunt yourself down a few extras here, a few extras there, possibly, or just save yourself money instead, but also you won't spend your money a year in advance for possibly shaving $10 off the price. In general, I think crowdfunding is always interesting. Sometimes you have these campaigns that are just hard to get your hands on the thing otherwise, and sometimes you have things you can confidently skip and just wait for the next thing. I think nearly everything we've covered today, you can skip on. I don't think there's a ton of things that are essential backs. There are things that are just, hey, maybe you'll get your hands on it. Maybe you'll be able to get that deluxe edition and all that. I think Teotihuacan is a reluctant value pick of the week. And then past that, as far as personal interest pick of the week, I debated on this one. I was going back and forth between Threads of Fate, which I'm primarily interested in because of Emerald Flame, or alternatively, just going with Pioneer Rails. And I'm going to pick Pioneer Rails. I'm very interested in Threads of Fate, but Pioneer Rails I've actually played, and I really enjoyed this one. This is a fun little roll and write experience that I'm looking forward to getting this one and diving into the 3 maps for this game and trying the different puzzles. I liked it. I thought it was highly accessible, highly rewarding, very simple fun. It's not like the best roll and write I've ever played, but it is one that's definitely stuck in my mind as far as wanting to try and explore new pathways in this game. Pioneer Rails is going to be my personal interest pick of the week. Which brings us to our upcoming campaigns. We have 3 this week. We have Seismic, which I talked about briefly last week, but I was wrong. It's this week, not this past week, so it's going to be coming up on Tuesday, I believe. Then we have Guards of Atlantis as well, showing up on Tuesday over on GameFound, Guards of Atlantis 2. This is one where I am late on my review coverage. I will probably have review coverage up mid-campaign for this game. That's going to be Guards of Atlantis 2, Tabletop MOBA. And then lastly, we have Endeavor Deep Sea, which again, this is going to be launching as Tuesday as well. Endeavor Deep Sea from Burnt Island Games for Age of Gaming. This is going to be, the spiritual successor to Endeavor Age of Sail. That's Endeavor Deep Sea. And with that, we're going to call it a wraps. I'm Alex Radcliffe from Board Game Co. As always, I hope you enjoyed this video, and until next time, I hope you have a good one. I got fired from my job at the bank today. This old lady walked in and she asked me to check her balance. So I pushed her over.